So, now, there's been a play on, I don't know if you noticed, and I'm going to tell you about my first attempt at a play. This is 1967. Eat Your Heart Out, Will Shakespeare. One day in the long hot summer between primary and secondary school, the others eagerly agreed when I suggested that we three should stage an outdoor play on the grassy roundabout outside my house. I suggested that we should also charge twopence for the seats and give the proceeds to charity. See, I haven't changed. The play was to be a simple affair with a story that we would make up as we went along. We put up a small tent on the roundabout. We set out some kitchen chairs. I had my recorder. We may even have had a sketchy plot. I feel sure we did, but it's lost to me now. All we needed was an audience. We consulted my mum. She suggested that we knock on the door of every house on the estate and advertise our play. We executed this excellent plan, and although no one actually promised to come, several neighbours proffered donations, along with words of praise for our endeavour. On the way round, we picked up a small boy, the statutory small boy, whose mother wanted rid of him for a few hours. She sent him with money to pay for his seat in the auditorium. Alas, he also brought along a copy of the Beano and didn't take his nose out of it for the entire performance, much to our chagrin, as he was the only attendee. Even my mum, despite prolonged entreaties from all three of us, said she was too busy to come. "People will turn up once you've started," she said. Dispirited, we began our play. Well, I began it, with some incidental music played on my recorder. After a few minutes, there were complaints from the other cast members. They said the incidental music was going on for too long and was also rubbish. I retreated into the tent and played on. I was putting off the moment when I was going to have to produce a script, or at the very least a vague storyline. Patsy came into the tent and tried to rip the recorder from my tender lips, much to my fury, and I retaliated by wrestling with her. After a few seconds, the tent pole was knocked down, and we were lost in the collapsed canvas. It was some time before we emerged, only to see Susie's stiff little back disappearing into the distance. The small boy spoke at last. "That girl says you're really stupid and she's going home." We felt that the whole episode had been an unmitigated disaster, until we looked in our collection pot and found that we had collected 3 shillings and 6pence, a small fortune by anybody's standards. I voted that we should give it to the local old folks' day centre, and we took it down there straight away, put it into the hands of one of the nurses, and informed her that it was the collection made at the performance of our outdoor play that very afternoon. She was delighted, and quickly took my name and address. We thought that was the end of it, and could only congratulate ourselves on the lucky escape we had experienced, there being no witnesses to our awful apology for a play. Even the small boy had not looked up from his comic. A few days later, however, we received a letter of thanks from the matron of the day centre, along with a firm request for us to perform our play. They were all looking forward to seeing our play very much. We were horrified. Being young and born into a generation that respected its elders, we thought we had no right to decline, and couldn't understand why baby Jesus was punishing us in this way for what was, after all, a simple good deed. Isn't it the thought that counts, we asked ourselves? It was left up to me to visit the matron, as I was the originator of this non-play, and almost entirely responsible for its failure on account of my rogue recorder playing. I was sick with fear. I hung my head, beetroot-faced, and had to be asked to speak up several times. "I can't do the play," I stammered eventually. "But why not, dear?" said the matron. "We'd love to see it." "It's not very good," I said. "Oh, come along, I'm sure it's wonderful." "No, there aren't any lines, or any parts, or..." I sneaked a glance at her increasingly bewildered face and rushed for the climax. "Any story?" There, it was said. I stared hard at the floor and waited to be told off. "Oh." She sounded disappointed and puzzled, but she rallied. "Well, never mind, dear. It's the thought that counts." I gazed up at her wonderingly. It was true then. What was, after all, the thought that counted? What a relief.